Only within recent years, since the development of universal communications allowed us to compare the antiquities of our own countries with those of others, have we been able to see the extent of the vast ruin within which we live. If we ignore all the alterations to the landscape arising within the last 3,000 years and consider the world as it must have looked in prehistoric times, the pattern that emerges is one so incompatible with our idea of civilization that it is easy entirely to miss its significance. For what we find is this: a great scientific instrument lies sprawled over the entire surface of the globe. At some period thousands of years ago, almost every corner of the world was visited by people with a particular task to accomplish. With the help of some remarkable power by which they could cut and raise enormous blocks of stone, these men created vast astronomical instruments, circles of erect pillars, pyramids, underground tunnels, cyclopean stone platforms, all linked together by a network of tracks and alignments whose course from horizon to horizon was marked by stones, mounds, and earthworks. That was Jean-Michel. The book was The New View Over Atlantis. And I wanted to start with that quote because I think it's perfect in the way it explains what has been left to us through thousands upon thousands of years of constructions of temples, and as he says, mounds, circles, and so on, that all seem to be uncannily linked. And we're going to just show you some of these kind of linkages. I want to first of all show you some of this just over Europe here. We see a straight line of it's called the Apollo St. Michael axis, and lots of these the names here actually contain St. Michael. We have roads as well. Armageddon down at the bottom, I think it's called Armageddon. Pisces, what is that? In Italy, Delphi, and so on. Important and old cities and towns and places where there were lots of ritual sites. And here the planetary grid, and like kind of moving outwards, kind of getting macro cosmic, we will see here the grid is kind of, well, it is very regular. You see the lines upwards and the lines across, and it's actually icosahedra in nature. I'm going to show you what I mean by that in a second, but you'll find some of the most amazing and majestic constructions here, and many of them are pyramidal in shape, and they're strung like pearls across the world in 3 continents. Here we see them, and they are obvious. There's obviously something going on here, because there is a regularity to this. So this is a better example of the St. Michael line, and you'll see every point is, they're not exactly equidistant, but every point is marked by a place. Many of these places going back and having human being populated by humans for a very long time. Michael in all of the names, just a little interesting bit there. I'm going to get to the icosahedra point here, the icosahedron, and this nesting, this kind of 3D nesting that will take place when you look at the platonic solids. In this Earth grid, you can see it's there is this regularity again. If you take a little time to look at what's happening here. This Metatron's cube here, again, it's a variation on all types of platonic solid here. We have the hexahedron, we have the sphere, and so on. The icosahedron, all perfectly nested. This is the platonic solids obviously nest perfectly within each other, and they do so geometrically as well. There's nothing haphazard or random about it. So whoever was doing this knew quite a lot about nature, and they understood the Platonic solids way before Plato came along. We have Teotihuacan, New York, Stonehenge, Troy, and Baalbek. Baalbek has one of the most extraordinarily humongous temples that anyone has ever seen, I think, on the planet. There's a Roman temple above it, the Temple of Jupiter. There are 3 temples in the complex, I think, but yeah, redunculously humongous blocks, and it's a very old site, certainly pre-Roman. So I just wanted to, well, hang on a minute, yeah, sorry, we've got this yellow, you'll see here in England as well, these little arrows. Interesting, because you see, I mean, you'll see the harmonies here within those 3 large arrows going from left to right on your screen. But if you take the, and I know that I've seen this in other books as well, if you take the yellow in the middle there, the yellow arrow, and you just draw you can obviously easily draw a pyramid between 3 spots there, and you'll find that these are again 3 extremely old henges, and they are drawn in a perfect pyramid, and they all related to old English history. This is impossible to look with the eye and figure out how you're going to map this with techniques that would have been available to our ancients, unless of course you're getting celestial, and even then it's a tough job. So we have, I believe, a very sophisticated mathematics and an understanding of astronomy here, but probably pretty primitive. I don't know, I mean, this is the thing, it's a strange one. When I say primitive, I mean these might be as old as 2,000 years, 3,000 years, 4,000 years. They could go back 6,000 or 7,000 years. We're not entirely sure. All interesting stuff, worthy of some thought. I think I'm going to leave that there. Oh no, I'm not. I'm going to read you another little quote quickly. This is John Anthony West. You may have heard the name. It's from the book The Serpent in the Sky. I'm going to read you 2 quick quotes, and I'm going to leave it there. How does a complex civilization spring full blown into being? This is talking about Egypt. Look at a 1905 automobile and compare it to a modern one. There is no mistake the process of development, but in Egypt there are no parallels. Everything is there right at the start. The answer to the mystery is of course obvious, but because it is repellent to the prevailing cast of modern thinking, it is seldom seriously considered. Egyptian civilization was not a development, it was a legacy. And here again, the implications of this alternative are obvious. If the coherent, complete and interrelated system of science, religion, art and philosophy of Egypt was not developed by the Egyptians, but inherited and perhaps reformulated and redesigned to suit their needs, that system came from a prior civilization possessing a high order of knowledge. In other words, the alternative brings up the old question of Atlantis. This alternative brings up the old question of Atlantis. So I think what we're seeing here is a devolution from a high point of sophistication. Many of the oldest works here, temple works and these massive monoliths, were probably placed there pre-flood. I'm talking pre-Younger Dryas. That is what I would assume. Things went bad for a pretty long period. Humanity was cast back into the Stone Age, literally, but there were a few people who were able to hold on to some of that sacred knowledge, and they began a process of civilizing basically the other people who had survived and completely lost hold through generations of where they had came from, and that legacy of this old civilization was slowly again re-established. I'm going to leave that there. Something to ponder on, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope the quality of these videos is getting better. That's what I'm trying to do, make them a little better every time. Anyway, have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye bye.